well, and as you can probably tell, we have an interesting little box opening. Not from the Russians and not from the waitress either. This will be a fresh receipt from the Village Hat Shop, based out of sunny San Diego, California. The item in question is a very interesting piece that I think we'll be able to incorporate in a few expeditions or excursions, and that is something that we'll be able to incorporate with a vehicle as well, and a few expeditions with said vehicle. Safety fast, as they say. So, item in question is the Wolseley, I believe that's how it's pronounced, Pith Helmet, or Pith Helmet sun hat, if you will. There have been a number of interesting references to the Village Hat Shop as far as quality of delivery and quality of the merchandise and shipping, etc. I was planning on ordering a few of these, and in regards to, ordering bulk items, if you will, I realized that if multiples are ordered from this particular shop, in some cases they attempt to save on packaging for the free shipping option. And in doing so, there was at least one customer that had complained that a similar hat or a sun helmet, that multiples had just been packaged together, which resulted in some damage. And thinking that perhaps they would ship a single headgear in an appropriate headgear box, because quite frankly, a few of us have received, or have, as issue items or what have you, have received similar type headgear, and they usually are shipped in a box similar to this with a form rest to keep the headgear somewhat suspended instead of possibly being crushed against the sides of the box. In any event, I digress just a bit, because getting into that detail is what prompted me to order a single helmet. And it's got some cellophane, plastic wrap, allowed to breathe a bit, and and here we have the item as received. I don't see any damage at all, no crush, etc. Does not appear to have been previously worn, so I don't think we've got a used piece of kit. And otherwise, that's my recommendation: order singles, because in this case they ship for free, at least if it's in the United States, and therefore I think on an item like this that should not be crushed or folded, in my opinion, I thought that perhaps this would help preserve the integrity of the shell, and the entire thing is a shell. I won't get into construction on this too much, because the Village Hat Shop has their own video that shows how and where their pith helmets, and they have a selection of about, I believe, 4 to 5 or 6 different versions that are available, how they are made, and they're made in Vietnam. The cap piece itself is interesting. It does spin a bit. I don't know if that is screwed on. Yeah, it looks like it is. Looks like there's a bit of a threaded piece down here, so it is probably screwed on, and that tension can probably be taken up in the future if necessary. I'll get into that at a later time if it becomes necessary to do that. But overall, the edges seem to be trimmed quite well. This appears to actually be leather, or very, very leather-like material, and it does appear to be leather in my opinion. The sniff test doesn't really prove it, but I had heard that sometimes they're using an imitation leather, so maybe they've changed that aspect, or maybe this is just a higher quality version of that. The History on this Wolseley, I believe is how it's pronounced, is that a United Kingdom or a British officer came up with this design for a pith helmet for them. And this does have an exterior band. I plan to either make or have made what's called a puggery. Now that's a puggery, not a buggery, for my friend Naughty Neddy, who likes to pop off a bit. But this is typically, especially in the tropics, which is where this would be normally worn, you would have a band around the exterior called a puggery. And again, having one of those made with some type of a custom flash for us only will probably be in the future. Other than that, again, this officer, who is believed to be the name caricature or character for the Wolseley Pith Helmet, designed this particular version with a bit of a peak at the brow or in front of the brow and a wider protection from the sun around the back of the head and neck. And of course, anybody who's done any work in the tropics or in the desert would know that that's an area that the old Mr. Saul likes to beat down on quite heavily with his product, being the heavy-duty rays. This pith helmet is pretty darn light. It is adjustable with a band here with a hook and loop closure for adjustment. I elected I believe this is the extra large version, so you can bring that down a bit if necessary. And there's a bit of a lining here. This is a plastic-like material on the interior of the headband. And otherwise, quite capable to perform as expected. The interior lining is a dark green, which should match something that it is planned to be matched up with. I did not expect this, did not know that would be the case. But of course, with that darker color on the interior of your brim, if you've ever done any work in the sun or in bright conditions, you know that that will help reduce the reflection from the interior of your brim against your eyes. So that helps to reduce that bright light exposure, at least to this forward part of the brim. So something else to keep in mind. That's a nice little added touch. Other than that, not much more to report. I may do a little photo session with this and some other equipment or gear. The hat band itself is nicely balanced, and it does appear that the button tab works, and that you can probably take this up a bit and incorporate it. Yeah, it will or should pivot on these pins here. Those appear to be either like a bronze or a copper wash. I don't think that they're actually copper. But yeah, looking forward to this interesting little piece. I just noticed that the exterior band has a bit of a pass-through, and without cutting it, let's just see if that is the case. So, okay, it only passes through to a certain point by all appearances. And I don't want to rip anything, tear, etc. needlessly. But I believe, nope, I'm wrong. You could not use that. Yeah, you could. Actually, screwdriver bit of our sack goes all the way through, so if you wanted to lace something into this, you most likely could. And that may be the case with this Wolseley. And with that, salute.